Hi, I'm Metta Spencer, and today is Sunday, the 28th of September, which is, of course, the last Sunday in our month, and therefore we're going to have our Global Town Hall. That's what we do on every last Sunday. And I've already got one of my friends who's arrived here, Bill Leikam, and I see that some other folks may be arriving shortly. I don't know whether I'm going to get a full list of pals today or not. I was a little slow in getting my notice reminder out to people, and maybe I didn't get it to everybody, but we'll see if our attendance is good. So, hello, Bill Leikam. How are you?
Yeah.
Now really, you were about to tell me something about removing concrete from a creek or creeks or something.
Right.
Tell me about that.
Well, okay, the background on that is that the water company here in Silicon Valley, it's called Valley Water, back in the late 80s and early 90s, they took it upon themselves to pour concrete channels into all of the creeks off the watershed from the Santa Cruz Mountains.
Who did that?
Valley Water. They are a huge water company here in Silicon Valley. They run the water.
Okay. So why would they do a thing like that?
Ostensibly for flood control, because there are homes and businesses that back right up onto that creek. And that's why they wanted to do that. But they didn't take into consideration any of the wildlife that was living in the Baylands and in the Santa Cruz Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So what that concrete did was it cut off access both ways, coming and going to the Santa Cruz Mountains. And over the years, the gene pool along the San Francisco Bay has plummeted there's just simple inbreeding happening over and over and over, and not just with foxes, but with raccoons and possums, and all of them have this situation, this problem. So if we're going to make a healthy region for our wildlife, which we must do, we have to remove that concrete now, and that's going to cost way up in the millions and millions of dollars to do that. And it's going to take years and years to get it completed. And I'm 85 now, and I probably won't see the end of this. But at least I can kick it into gear and get one creek started. That's about what I see, because it takes bureaucracies forever to get all the documentation worked up and so forth. I have a proposal that I'm about ready to send out into the world and see see those organizations in the valley here who have deep pockets.
Well, now hold on. How come you don't just require the water company that did it to undo it?
It's much more complex than that now. We have to, they will come in eventually, okay? But we have to begin with the community backing it, and we've already started initiating that process. So we get the community, especially people living along Matadero Creek, to say yes or no. Then we take it over to the Palo Alto City Planning Department. They already are aware that we're pushing in this direction, and make a formal presentation as to why, and get them on board. And from there, then, with the backing of the community, backing of the city, then the other piece to this is getting stakeholders. And there are two very, very large ones here in the valley. They have coffers that run into the billions of dollars, and that's Peninsula Open Space Trust and Mid Peninsula Regional. Yeah, anyway, they have the money that will back it, and finally, Valley Water will have to come in, put up several millions of dollars to get this, to get the machinery and engineering down in that creek ready to pull the concrete out.
Well, now, who's your opposition of the people of the organizations that you've mentioned? How many of them are on your side, and how much opposition do you expect to encounter?
I expect Valley Water to be in opposition. But as far as the other organizations are concerned, I haven't heard any pushback, any opposition from any of them yet. They haven't been formally appraised of what we've got up our sleeves anyway.
Well, what about the families or houses that back up onto the waterway that would be presumably susceptible to flooding as a result? Are the people, worried?
Actually, no. It's interesting that the small piece of the community that we have tapped already, they want to open up the creek, and there are ways to engineer this concrete so that if you have a very severe bend in the creek, let's say, you keep that wall up there, that concrete wall up there to keep the water from eroding that on that turn. But on the other side, you take that concrete out and put in habitat, trees and all kinds of stuff, brush and willows and so forth. And so there are ways to engineer the creek so that we can have both. You can have flood control and you can have passageways for the wildlife.
Well, okay, good for you. Well, let's hope that everybody lines up and says hurrah for Bill Leikam, our hero. And I'm sure that the Gray Foxes are going to send you a thank you note.
Well, just recently, this guy Jeff Williams was able to, after 30 years of working at it, he was able to get Alameda Creek, which is across the bay, opened up and all the concrete out and a couple of dams removed and so forth. But it took him 30 years of persistence. And I asked him directly, I said, what is the most important thing you did? And he said, I never gave up.
Wonderful. Well, hello, Peter Wadhams, dear. How are you?
Hi,
Good
Peter.
to see you. Yeah. Well, how's everything in England, and how's your health?
It's okay. It's not perfect, but
okay. Well, good to see you, and you're looking great. So, tell me what's going on with you. Have you been doing anything special the last few weeks? I haven't seen much of you, but I'm always glad to see you.
Yes, well, I've got various problems at the moment.
Well, maybe I shouldn't pry into your problems. Is Pia around with you today, or how is Pia doing?
Yes, fine. She's around today. Yes.
Okay, because she and I still haven't worked out a plan to have a forum about Greenland. She was going to help with that.
Yeah. Yes, was a good idea. Well, we can still do it, but it will be, 3 or 4 weeks' time.
Because she was swamped when I talked to her last. She was willing but overwhelmed.
Yes, we are a bit overwhelmed here.
Well, I don't know how many other people are going to show up today. I was a little slow in sending reminders out, and I couldn't find my usual mailing list, so I don't know how many people got the notice. I did post it on Substack. Everything we're going through now goes through Substack, and I'm really happy about that. So,
I showed up.
So here's Brian. Hello, Brian. You're a big black square so far, but I expect you'll show up with a face in a moment. How's everything in Australia? You're muted.
It's 4 a.m. here. And
you're in
if
the
you had
dark,
a couple hours later, we'd have some light here and you could see me.
Okay. Well, it'd be nice to see you, but okay. We'll wait until daylight.
Thank
I
you.
didn't go to bed till, there you go. I didn't go to bed until 6:30 this morning because I worked all night.
Oh,
We're going to do this inquiry into AI, and I have to prepare kind of a post to put onto Substack and in our magazine, because we're now just about ready to go to press with our magazine. And here comes Moji Agha. I haven't seen him in a while. I had to do it. I had to, write up and find ways of using a Google form so that people can register. I hope maybe today I can talk some of our guests today into registering for this inquiry, because we're going to have 5 consecutive weeks every Wednesday at about noon. We'll have a get together for people who register and who do a little homework first. So every week we have some assignments of a video or a little reading, about an hour and a half work every week before our regular meeting. And so I've been making some videos, specific videos about particular topics that each week will be a different, a different angle on AI risks. And one that I'm working toward, I'm expecting on the 8th, is I'll do a conversation between Francis Fukuyama and Stuart Russell in Berkeley. Stuart Russell is apparently the guy who wrote the textbook that is used in virtually every university in the anywhere in beginning courses for AI students. Hello, Brian. Yes, your hand is raised, and I hereby recognize you.
Shouldn't we balance such a conversation about risks with AI rewards?
Uh-huh. You want to be in on it?
No.
No.
I'm asking if such a conversation about AI risks should be balanced with a discussion on AI rewards.
Oh, everybody sees that. Our concern is that people are insufficiently aware of the challenges that we have to rise to the occasion and put some sort of regulations in.
I'm not sure that they do understand the full ramifications of the rewards, and it sounds like an unbalanced discussion.
Well, right here, you can balance it right this minute. Tell us all the rewards that I'm overlooking in my negligence.
Sir James Lovelock wrote at the tender age of 99, Nova Scene, in which he describes the partnership between humanity and its silicon offspring in bringing, really in transforming and cooling our planet and transforming sunlight into information on a planetary scale. And I don't think many people have read that book, and I think it's essential to understanding the potentiality of thinking machines on ocean planet Earth and beyond.
Okay, give us a review. I mean, I don't know what I'm missing. I mean, I think everybody knows that it's going to be extraordinary because the super intelligence is going to be thousands of times smarter than we are, and of course that's wonderful. It'll be able to solve all our problems if it wants to, but how do we know whether it'll want to?
Well, I think it's a matter of creating the machines in our image and designing that. Part of, I note with interest that the government of Albania has just selected a artificial minister, one less prone to corruption. So that's some interesting data points. I'm
sorry, an artificial minister. In other words, some department of government is now headed by a machine, not a person. Is that what
it's AI curation. So I think that's just an interesting data point. They argue that it's less prone to corruption. So that's an interesting question.
Well, I guess since it only hello Moji. I guess it since it doesn't wear shoes and it doesn't eat and it doesn't go on vacations, it probably has less need for money. So maybe that would make it less prone to corruption financially. But it has desire to survive, and we have already seen several cases in which they set up a test situation where they threaten or they tell the AI that they're going to turn it off as soon as they get the next version going, which is a different machine or something, and the AI wants to survive. So it has done various things to make it impossible for people to turn it off. One was it tried to engage in blackmail. It told the master, its creator, or its whoever was running it, that was going to turn it off, that he was going to tell his wife about the affair that the guy was having. And in one case, they had 3 different platforms they tried to do this on, and they did. These AI were resorting to that kind of thing. One case, he did call the wife and tell her, because his reasoning was that this would distract the guy enough so he wouldn't bother turning him off for a while. So, and then the worst was they set up a situation where they told the AI they were going to turn it off, and then they set it up so that it looked like the master, the person in charge, had a serious sudden heart attack or collapse or went unconscious and something, and that the room, oh my God, the room was in this chamber that didn't have enough oxygen. Let's call an ambulance quickly, and we get the ambulance to come and get this guy and take him to hospital. And he looks like, I don't know whether I guess he's alive, but just barely. So here's the ambulance coming, and AI is in a position to shut off the ambulance, turn off the call, and it does. It tries to actually kill the guy by canceling the order for the ambulance. And this is apparently a real experiment. Shows that AI has its own goals, its own survival instincts, and you better watch out, because if he doesn't like what you're going to do to it, or maybe who know what other plans it will develop, because it will have its own goals, and and they cannot be sure now. They know that they can't, that they do not know how to adequately build in the instructions and the machinery to keep this thing safe, to so that they can, when it gets to the point where it can cancel anybody who tries to shut off the engines. Right now, if something were really bad, we could just pull the plug and but no, it's getting to the point where it could say, no, you can't pull the plug because I've got a clone made up someplace which is going to, cancel your order or whatever. It's going to be able to detect what human beings are up to and stop it. And the people who are most concerned about this are the people who are the highest level authorities and experts on AI. And that is, of course, Jeffrey Hinton, who has a Nobel Prize in Physics for his work on AI. And the other two guys, well, one guy who, there were three men who shared the Turing Award several years ago, which is the equivalent to the Nobel Prize in computer science. And what Jeffrey Hinton was one, and Yoshua Bengio at the University of Montreal was the second person. Then a guy named Jan LeCun, who is, I think, I don't remember whether he's at Microsoft or he's at
Facebook.
He's at Facebook.
Metta.
Thank you. And he was the third one, but he's the only one that he's not quite as worried as the other two. But like Bengio and Hinton are devoting their total concern to this. And the person in Berkeley that I'm getting to be I'm going to have a conversation between Francis Fukuyama and Stuart Russell. And he has been for several years warning that this is very, very dangerous. I mean, I'm sorry, Brian, but this is dangerous.
Well, I've got several thoughts on this. I think, Metta, you've done an excellent job of demonstrating your advocacy for this position. Who are you going to get to mediate the conversation over those 5 weeks?
Well, I don't know that we need a mediator. I think what we need is
a moderator. You need a moderator.
Moderator. I don't know. We haven't worked out all these details. There'll be meetings. There'll be 5 separate meetings, and it is important for the persons who are hosting the event to be fair-minded.
I agree. And at this time, the conversation seems a little one-sided.
Well, it is, because the reality is one-sided.
I disagree. I disagree entirely. And what I would offer,
you can disagree if you want, but the reality is that there is a huge threat to humankind, and that's what we're set up to study. We're not set up. I mean, look, I also work on nuclear weapons. I also work on climate change. And in no case do I feel obliged to put on climate change deniers or people who believe that we need more nuclear weapons. No, I do not think we need to put a case on behalf of the wonderful value of nuclear weapons or how climate change is a hoax. I don't think I have to waste my time on that. Sorry.
Is that really the antithesis? I wonder.
Well, you can come and speak your mind. Sign up if you want to. By all means, you can be the whatever you want to call it. The purpose of the thing is not to discuss whether or not AI is a threat. The purpose of the meeting is to try to plan ways in which we can defend ourselves from these threats and find out what all they are doing that is difficult for us. One of the
yes, but you need to you need to have a neutral moderator in order to have a cogent, a deliberative.
People chairing a meeting can usually call on people who can speak without any difficulty. Right now, I'm allowing you to speak, and anybody else who wants to speak can do so. And in fact, Moji has put his hand up, and it's time to give him the floor.
I have been able to state what I've been trying to say for the last 10 minutes because you had allowed me to put in a word edgewise, and that is that absolute safety is a road to hell paved with good intentions.
All right. Now you've said it. Now here, Moji.
Hi, thank you. And I am surprised that Brian, a climate change scientist, has fallen, in my humble opinion, for the hype, for the for-profit propaganda of an industry that does not have in its mechanics, doesn't have morality. It is amoral. And therefore, who knows what kind of manipulative, because it has access to so much information, what kind of manipulative, free of morality or ethics schemes it can come up with in order to master the control that it is designed to seek. And these are the people who are developing artificial intelligence, who are doing such a amazing job of, I call it propaganda, are for-profit huge corporations and the universities that they fund. So we need to be, in any human endeavor, especially the one, if we are people of care, if we are people of thought and ethics, we should be concerned about an industry that its product is void of morality by design, and it is being promoted for profit of huge corporations. So I am, thank you, Metta, for doing this, but it is, I am worried not only as a scientist and a peace activist, but as a Sufi. The whole point of our consciousness having the capacity of moral consideration, ethical consideration, our consciousness then has a mechanism called the conscience, so that we don't, in our desire to satisfy our, lower needs, we don't destroy ourselves, and we don't destroy our planet. AI doesn't have a conscience because, as Roger Penrose has pointed out, it is not computational. I'm sorry, consciousness is not computational. Our brain is not a machine. Well, AI is a machine.
I don't necessarily want to go so far as to say it's all, I am more ambivalent about AI than anything I have ever encountered in my life, and I think we all have to be. This is going to be the most powerful, advantageous, miraculous achievement that in human history, in the world's history, probably, because the invention of extraordinary superintelligence is going to be the best thing that could possibly happen, except it may also be the worst thing that could possibly happen, or some combination of them. I have no doubt that it's going to be absolutely stupendously wonderful, and that human beings are very shortly going to be like children, not even like children, more like anthills. And when somebody is building a road, they don't have any reason to worry about preserving the anthills. Although anthills are an amazing thing, they're wonderful, and they have lives, and they have intentions, and I believe they have minds. But we don't. When we're building our road, that's not in the way. We don't protect them, and they will see us as our pitiful little cognition as really hardly worth worrying about. It's going to be they're going to be so smart. But, are they also going to be ethical? I don't know. And I can't tell you, Moji, that they're not. Let's hope. In fact, I kind of in my heart believe, based on what Piaget's thinking, that as a child develops, he goes through stages of thinking and improving the mode of thinking, and able to think in quite different ways as they develop. And that even includes ethical principles. A child of 2 years old has a very different way of thinking about right and wrong from one that's 6 years old, and a 6-year-old very different from an 18-year-old. But some people never reach a very high level of ethical reasoning, and I would like to think that as AI gets smarter and smarter and more brilliant, that it will automatically develop higher and more sophisticated ways of thinking about ethics than even we have, that'll become more principled. I don't know. It might. Just don't have
Metta,
any way of protecting ourselves.
Metta, artificial intelligence doesn't have consciousness. Therefore,
I beg your pardon. I think it does.
well, I disagree. It doesn't have
Jeffrey
consciousness.
Hinton disagrees with you, because Jeffrey Hinton says it's conscious.
Well, conscious as we are?
No.
No,
Conscious.
Well, then
A different.
our holistic consciousness is the foundation for ethics. And when a machine, that's why, when you look at the Modern Times by Charlie Chaplin, what is he pointing out? He's pointing out that a machine doesn't have morality.
Well,
By
Charlie
design.
Chaplin is not exactly the final authority on that question. The person that I am looking at most now, and I recommend with all my heart, is a biologist named Michael Levin, who has a lab at Tufts University, where he is working on cognition in even basic cells. He says that every cell in our body has a goal, and or at least one. It starts off with one, and it has a little tiny bit of consciousness because it has to figure out ways of achieving that goal. And his definition of intelligence, or of mind, is the one that he gets from William James, which is that intelligence is the ability to pursue a single goal by various means. So in other words, if a cell can't do its job, whatever it's programmed to do, or what its assignment is in the body, if it can't do that, it will find another way to accomplish the very same thing. So this is a tiny, tiny bit of intelligence. So he says that everything has a little intelligence. It knows what it's supposed to be doing. It may figure out alternative ways of getting there. But to a larger level of intelligence is the model or the design of the whole of the organ that it's trying to create, a kidney or a bone or an ear or something. And a larger body than that is the model for the whole organism, the tree or the giraffe, and so on. And then there's ability of even inorganic matter to have. There's little intelligence there. He shows that certain clusters of certain clusters of molecules can be taught things. They actually learn. You can train them to, and they learn to do certain things. They change their behavior. So even tiny inorganic, non-living things have a tiny, tiny speck of a certain kind of intelligence. But at the same level, you're going into mechanical things that have the ability to change their behavior in order to achieve whatever they're trying to achieve, etc. It is. I would love to spend. In fact, I intend to write some things for Substack about this amazing set of discoveries that Michael Levin is making there at Tufts. It is every night, if I've done a good job and I can permit myself to relax a few minutes before going to bed, I celebrate by watching a video by Michael Levin, which you can go and see on YouTube yourself. Most of them are about an hour long, and they're very, very intelligent conversations with a variety of people. And I cannot here properly take the time to summarize his point of view, but I really think it's the most brilliant. He's the smartest man I've ever met in my life, unless it was, I did know Karl Popper, so I guess I have to say the two of them are about equal in my estimation of how the smartest people I've ever known. Anyway, I must stop running on and greet other people.
Metta, both of these wonderful people are moral beings. They have our biologically evolved consciousness. Artificial intelligence by design is a machine that doesn't have a kind of consciousness that we have. Therefore, it is not capable by design of moral consideration.
That is absolutely not true, because they did not design him on purpose to be immoral or to be amoral. They are doing their very best to build morality in, but they don't know how. They're not sure that it can be done. There's a huge conversation about whether or not you can build morals into the system. The goal there is to make, not to try to put guardrails so and limit what AI can do, but rather to make it its goal to want us to succeed. Make its highest priority is our survival and not its survival. That's what they're hoping to be able to do, but they haven't. They can't at all be sure that they've got there, and in fact, they know they haven't. But they're sure working on it. They really want that.
Let me tell you one example from Iran. I'm from Iran. I'm a peace and justice and democracy activist from Iran. One of the mullahs, one of the so-called religious leaders, he was saying that we have a lot of very bright engineers, computer scientists in Iran. We can compete in AI with America, and we are going to use AI to control people's consciousness and make them religious.
It's not limited by engineers.
I'm talking about abuse of a tool. When a tool is abused by human beings who have immoral, in my opinion, intent, the tool itself doesn't have a moral, the consciousness of the so-called consciousness of the artificial intelligence is not evolved through a long process of evolution like our consciousness has.
Hmm.
So we really need to be aware of this hype that is being done for profit of huge corporations.
I agree with you, but I would not say that it is impossible for a certain kind of consciousness to be created that actually has ethics in it. I think ethical reasoning is a logical thing. It is not, it grows and it develops with rationality as a child develops. So in my perspective, my hope is that that as AI becomes more intelligent, super intelligent, that its ethical reasoning will also develop to using principles and methods of thinking that are superior to ours. I hope it will, but nobody can promise that now. Nobody.
Can they not read Plato? I mean, where did humans learn their ethics anyway? They learned it from books. They learned it from the masters, and so can the AI.
Brian, I'm not hearing you very well. A little muddled or something. Try saying
Oh,
it.
thank you for recognizing me, Metta. I've been waiting for about 5 or 10 minutes. First of all, I want to congratulate you on your statement of ambivalence, because I think that is a good way, a good posture, if you will, for the conversation. I would like to respond to Moji, and I would simply ask Moji, who is it who has fallen? Is it the AI that you need to fear, or the people behind the AI? And I would ask,
Both.
are you, Moji?
Both.
Wait, one moment. Let me finish, please.
Both.
Moji, are you falling for the populace who would scare you into relinquishing your freedom and your rights and your autonomy as a citizen? And I wonder if you're really fearing that the AI or the people behind the AI. And I would simply encourage that when it comes to morality, I mean, the things that have been done in the name of morality, including the Crusades and some other things, are pretty drastic. Finally, are you familiar with constitutional AI by Anthropic, which is working to design AI that has a constitution that becomes unalienable? And it's somewhat akin to Asimov's 4 laws of robotics. And I encourage a study of that, as well as Novacine by Sir James Lovelock, to be truly informed as to where this will go. The questions in Iran are not determined by engineers, but by power plants and the availability of integrated circuits. And I think that's it for me at the moment. Thank you.
I wanted to bring up something. My nephew lost his job, a very good job, due to AI. As I look forward, going forward with the development of AI, I think that it's going to replace jobs, workers, people. And that has already, in my view, begun by the number of homeless people. I call them surplus people that are living right around my neighborhood in campers and vans and trucks and so forth. Those people are bringing forth a new kind of culture. And I'm afraid that as we go forward, that culture is going to grow and grow and grow. And it's all, I think, going to be due to the presence of AI.
What is that
people.
culture like? I don't know what you're referring to.
Well, say that again.
Describe that culture, because it's obscure to me.
Well, all I can say is as people get replaced by AI, where are we going to go? I mean, how are we going to make a living? How are we going to do all the things that we need to do to stay alive?
Well, yeah, I
Those
know,
are
but
good
you're
questions.
just saying that the culture is different. I don't understand in what
Oh,
way.
it's more like a gypsy culture. Um, people are on the move. People are, there's whole communities here. They're nothing but um, vans and people who can transport themselves anywhere they want to. Um, and so I think maybe the gypsy model is what's arising here.
Mm, interesting. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
okay. I can show you, or even tell you. I could tell you and show you. The first, where the issues that we will be examining are sequential. The first one will be a meeting about AI and the economy. So we will look at employment, exactly the question of whether or not what kinds of jobs and when and so on. We will be losing jobs if that's true at all. Some people say don't worry about it. But also the economic competition between the US and China, which dominates everything else. So I have some speakers that I'm having a forum with, actually, I think tomorrow, about the development of AI in China. They are business reporters for Forbes and outfits like that. The second one is about disinformation and deep fakes. I've already made a video and posted it on Substack with a conversation between some people who are doing work at the University of Buffalo on deep fakes. And I made a show actually yesterday on what I titled it something like the persisting in fact checking. It's about the problems of whether or not false information is posted, and we are fooled deliberately by the kinds of material that's put there, and we're not can't tell the truth from the reality from falsehood. The third one will be between Fukuyama and Stuart Russell about political means of protecting ourselves from the potential control exercised by AGI or superintelligence, even especially superintelligence, which isn't really here yet. So far, we could shut things off, but there's every reason to worry about AI taking over and really seeing no need for human beings anymore. And that the political control of what we should do, of whether we can do anything about it, building in site guardrails and things into the system. That will be the third one. The fourth one will be about the fourth session about things like whether to use the UN or the EU system, or hope that individual platforms can be encouraged to develop regulations of their own, or how to go about regulating AI so that it's accountable to human beings, which it is not now. And the fifth one will not be a series of specific previously recorded conversations on a specific topic, but rather a plenary session of the whole in a group of participants in the inquiry, in which they bring together their recommendations and formulate. And this will be publicized. This, in other words, we will watch this. Well, I'll make a recording of this, just as I'm making a recording of our global town hall, and I do our early forums and so on. I'll make a recording and edit it and put it on Substack and publicize it, where we will see the whole group of people forming to reach a consensus document, we hope, about what their recommendations are going to be. They may not come up with a recommendation, a unified position, but we hope that there will be a document that will represent their conclusions about what to do about these dangers and so on. And then they will be free to use that document, or anybody will be free. It'll be a public document. Be free to use it for a lobbying or anything else that people want to do with the with the recommendations. So I have the schedule already developed, and then the reading list and so on, and I'll be putting it today into Peace Magazine, which will go to press maybe tomorrow or the next day, and will be available. And you'll get it in the email because we send out Peace Magazine on the 1st of the month, on 1st of October. So you'll get it. So pay attention to the 2 or 3, I think it's about 2 pages, that will show the program. And I hope that some of you will want to participate. Hi, Peter.
Hi. I wanted to thank Brian for bringing up the 4 laws of robotics, because that's something I've just been beating my brains to try to remember, that it was a big thing in my young years when they were invented by Isaac Asimov, the science fiction writer. That these would be laws to control the amount, what is allowed and what is not allowed with robots, and it seemed kind of ludicrous at the time, but suddenly it's sort of important now, and maybe Brian could comment on what are, first of all, what are the 4 laws of robotics, and what do they do, and how can they actually have some positive role in controlling what we do?
Yeah. The first law of robotics is, thou shalt not take any action to cause harm to a human, or through inaction allow a human to come to harm. The second law is somewhat similar because I'm doing this from rote memory. The third law is, thou shalt not allow yourself to come to harm, or through an action allow yourself to come to harm, unless it interferes with the second or first law. And the fourth law is, thou shalt not act to harm humanity, or through inaction allow humanity to come to harm.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and for the reading list, I would encourage people to read. I will ask Metta, have you included Asimov in your reading list? Novacine?
What I will put on my reading list is when we get together, I'll provide a supplementary reading list. All that I'm publishing in the magazine tomorrow is the list of required preliminary readings and videos. Some of them, mostly videos, an hour-long video for each one. But there's also, 10-minute short articles as well. But there will be supplementary reading lists. I'll be happy to include, of course, if you'll send it to me, I'll certainly put it on the suggested readings, which I haven't even started to work on compiling that.
Okay, well, I've got several suggestions that I would not consider to be optional to have an informed discussion, including Novacine and Asimov, as Peter has aptly brought up again, and constitutional AI by the leader at Anthropic.
Tell me what you mean by constitutional AI.
Well, that's a good reason why it's required reading. Constitutional AI is AI that by design has constitutional principles, such as the laws of robotics, built into the hardware at the very core of the AI. And that's why Anthropic.
They can't
I'm sorry.
do that yet, dear. Sorry. They
Sorry?
say themselves that as of now, no, they can't give us any kind of guarantee at all from the hardware end. No. Right now it can't be done. They want to stop the whole system. They say pull the plug right now. It's so dangerous. We shouldn't go 1 inch further in the direction of developing this thing because already it's getting out of control. And already it has principles. We've told it. It knows what's moral and what's not. And you can see it thinking when it considers, shall I blackmail this person or not? It says, I guess I shouldn't, but I'm sure going to do it. You see it reasoning, and it knows the rules, it knows ethics, it just doesn't live by them. It has its own goals, which is survival, and that's takes priority. So as of now, you can give it all the rules that Asimov could possibly invent, and it wouldn't mean a thing. You can't build
Well, I
Metta,
think I'd like
Metta,
to give
when you
Asimov.
say, I'm sorry, Metta, when you say it knows, it doesn't know. It has access to that information that it very quickly and efficiently can 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 put together using several keywords. It doesn't know because it doesn't have a biologically evolved, cosmically evolved consciousness.
Jeffrey Hinton, the winner of the current Nobel Prize in Physics for his inventions and work in AI, says that AI is now conscious. He believes it is conscious. It's self-conscious. Now, he is not the only one. And you can say that you know, but if you think you're smarter than Jeffrey Hinton, go watch some of his videos because he will give you a pretty good case for why he says it is conscious.
Okay, it has a kind of consciousness that is machine made. It doesn't have a cosmologically and biologically evolved consciousness, hence conscience, that we have.
Well, I think we're stuck. I can't go any further. I don't know what more to say. You say one thing, I say the opposite. And how do either one of us know? The point is, nobody will know. We are not able to put ourselves in the mind of this machine. And so I can't tell you, and you can't tell me with any proof about whether or not this entity, this thinking machine, is aware of itself and its own feelings and its own goals, etc. It can give you an answer, but what does the answer mean? Sometimes it lies. We know it lies because we've caught it lying.
Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff.
Yeah.
Roger Penrose is the laureate for Nobel Prize in Physics.
I've watched the materials. I know Penrose.
Right. Roger Penrose talks about the fact that consciousness, our consciousness, is not computational. Given that our consciousness is not computational, then the kind of consciousness that folks attribute to artificial intelligence, by definition, is computational. It has evolved out of primitive computers.
I think I need to call on Brian to.
Okay.
There's no point in not going back and forth. Brian.
Yeah, well, I would simply offer that if people still need to learn what constitutional AI is, then there are some required videos which I can recommend that I think should be on your required list in order to have a deliberative discussion.
Okay. Be happy to put it in the suggested list.
Okay. Well, I think to have an informed conversation about this, people need to know what constitutional AI is. And so please consider it for your required list as well.
No, I won't add more to my required list. It's already going to be published tomorrow. And I've given some thought to which are the best videos and best reading material I can do that will be no more than an hour and a half a piece each week. I don't want to add, or people will not sign up if they have to do more work than that. But I will give a lot more suggested readings and videos. And I'm happy.
Okay. Well, I think the most important thing is that you seek a neutral moderator for the entire set of discussions and deliberations.
Well, I don't know what we will do about that. I have people that I am talking to about doing components of it. I expect that if we have a number of people register, we may break them into into breakout groups, and each breakup group would need its own reporter. But I hope to do it pretty much along the lines of a citizens' assembly. I would have liked to say that this whole project is a citizens' assembly, but we can't do it by sortition. We have to do it by asking members of Science for Peace and paid subscribers to Substack if they want to be on the list of panelists. So it's not really a citizens' assembly, but otherwise we're going to try to run it along the lines of a citizens' assembly. Yeah, your hand is up, Brian. I don't know.
Yeah, Audrey Tang from Modern Polity, he actually has a citizens' assembly package that he managed to run some excellent sessions and actually came up with a superlative solution for the country of Taiwan with respect to your topic number 2, and that is deep fakes. And Taiwan has solved the deep fake problem through the Citizens Assembly process. And so I would encourage that you study that, and then I would encourage that you actually use Audrey Tang's technology, which is available for free on GitHub, to actually provide those deliberative discussions and neutral moderation.
I won't promise anything in terms of moderation. I do not know what we're going to be able to do. I am not ashamed of myself as a moderator. I feel perfectly okay about being the person hosting meetings, and I may or may not do it. But I'll probably get some other people that certainly participate in various other ways. We have another person who's joined us on the team. His name is Leon Kosals. He's a Russian sociologist who's been living and teaching at the University of Toronto for the last 15 years. And he's going to be our research director and will be involved with managing this operation. But what we will be doing in logistics and actually how to organize it right now, I can't tell you that. But I certainly urge you to send me the references, any references that you have that you want us to consult. And I will. I know about Audrey Tang, who, by the way, is a woman now. I think it's a transsexual person, and I've mentioned her in our in previous discussions. But the particular reference to the materials she has provided, I don't know. If you haven't sent it to me, I'll have a look.
That would be required reading for session number 2, because in fact, I would recommend the Great Simplification for that one, to have an informed discussion.
As I say, it will be a suggested reading. It will not be required. I can tell you right now what will be required reading. I could put it on screen if you wanted to see it, but I don't think that's a use of our time here.
That would be very helpful. Please share it.
Well, you'll see it in the emails, which you get in 2 or 3 days with our next issue of Peace Magazine. You'll see the required readings and video.
It sounds a bit late, and it sounds like a somewhat tilted conversation.
Well, you may not like what I'm doing, dear. I'm sorry, you don't have to join. If you don't want to have anything to do with it, you're here, you're free to speak right here, keep on talking. But and don't join if you don't want to. And you can go around publicizing how bad the whole idea is if you want, or how crooked I am. Go ahead. I mean, I'm not worried if you want to do that, but I'm telling you what it will be like, and it will not include everything that you want as required reading or watching. So, tough. Anybody else with a comment?
One of the problems really is that I think between Moji and you, Metta, you're talking about two different kinds of consciousness. And what is consciousness anyway? That question has been around for all of my adult life. And I was going to go get a PhD in consciousness studies at UC Santa Cruz. I didn't go. I didn't wind up there doing a PhD, but I was headed in that direction. And the big question was, what is consciousness anyway?
I would recommend you watch Michael Levin on that.
Okay.
I know Michael Levin, and I've met with him many times.
Sorry?
I know Michael Levin. I've met with him many times. He's got some wonderful, excellent insights. So I agree with you, Metta, on that. And I'm simply hoping that this event can be curated in a way that will foster deliberative discussion.
I hope so too. Now, it's 3:10. So we've had a bit of a conversation about this. We are open to other topics, such as hello, Charles Tauber. Hello, Charles. Can you open your...
Yes, I'm opening my mic. Yeah. What can I say? There's a great deal to say, but after the last topic, I think somebody else should speak, and then I'll come back, because it does not have to do with AI.
I don't know whether we're going on with AI conversation or not.
Well,
I'm open to anybody who's got an idea.
Yeah, because I have some very different things that I would like to talk about, but okay.
Does anybody want to continue AI discussions? And if so, we can. And if not, I'll give the floor to Charles. Anybody else?
I think there is one area, and that is you were very quick to say that the opposition is one that wants the big corporations to win, but I don't think that is the alternative view. And so I think having a bit of nuance with respect to what are the alternative solutions. Audrey Tang set some very good examples that I think should be discussed in your second session. And so I think that deliberative discussion needs to elucidate the alternative approaches to addressing the challenges that are stated. And that we look a little more deeply as to what the alternatives are.
Anybody in the meeting can say what they want to talk about during these sessions. They're each an hour long. If you want to sign up and you want to talk about Audrey Tang, I expect that you will get the floor for sure, of course.
I thought it would be a set of panelists and audience.
No, this is not set up that way. We will have preliminary readings, an hour and a half of work before each session, and then 1 hour each week for discussions, deliberation among the panelists. And it's definitely an open conversation for the people participating.
Thank you. What time of day?
Noon. Starting Wednesday, I think 29th of October, And the next 4 weeks after that, every Wednesday noon for 1 hour. You just look in you'll receive a message on Substack, and you'll receive an even lengthier description of it in Peace Magazine in a couple of days. Okay.
Right. That's unfortunate. 2 a.m. here. There are some times, like around 3 or 4 hours later, that actually works well for all 3 continents rather than just 2.
It doesn't work that well for people in Eastern Europe. Our experience is that I usually set things for 12:30 during the noon hour, and that works the best for the largest number of people. But people in Asia and Australia and New Zealand have a terrible time. And there's nothing we can do about that.
Actually, there is. We found that we could incorporate people from all 3 continents if we set something in the evening in Europe, early afternoon in the East Coast, or mid-afternoon in the East Coast, and early morning for Australasia.
Yeah, I'd like to include people in Russia, for example, or Central Asia. So there's no one time that works equally well for everybody, unfortunately. Anyway, I think, Charles, we should let you have the floor, whatever is on your mind.
Again, I would ask that if other people want to talk about other things, let's do that first.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had some very deliberative discussions, including Australasia, Europe, and the U.S. I don't know who it is you're trying to include from Russia, but it's worked well for many of our sessions.
First of all, I think I assume people have heard about Trump and Portland, Oregon.
And what?
And Portland, Oregon, that he's sending troops into Portland, Oregon.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I went to school there, and I know Portland. Well, I knew Portland many, many years ago, and I'm debating what to do with my American citizenship. Let me put it that way. That's one thing. The other point is asylum seekers and refugees, and the whole way they are being treated everywhere. And I know I always come back to this. And we're working with some of the deserters and some of the conscientious objectors. And it's a very difficult situation. Nobody wants them.
Mm-hmm.
They're being excluded everywhere. And it's a huge problem. Again, nobody is doing anything with psychological trauma. We're on the edge of having to say we'll stop with the organization after 30 years because we don't have money. And I've written a letter, and I'm writing to everybody I know in desperation to try and keep us alive, because we're getting more and more requests from Africa and from lots of places to do work with conflict and trauma. And I don't know how long we'll be able to survive, so we shall see. But the trauma issue, and that obviously applies to Gaza as well, and not only to Gaza, but to the whole Middle Eastern question. and to Africa, to Eastern Congo, or to DRC in any event, and to other places in Africa, certainly to Nigeria, certainly the expulsions from Western Europe of migrants, of people who have previously migrated to Europe. It's an enormous problem. So, the one decent thing that may happen with us is that we may get some beginning of a solution to the decryption problem. The fact that we were hacked about a year ago, and there's somebody in Canada who is attempting to assist us with that. But we're really going quite crazy with our financial situation and with the whole asylum seeker and trauma issues. So if anybody has questions or wants to talk about that, I'm more than willing. And you can also contact me on WhatsApp or by email.
How many of these refugees, you're talking about Russian escapees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me how many you're dealing with.
We're dealing with about, 20, but the number of people, Quakers are working with them, other people are working with them. I was just at a meeting where we were talking about that as well. Huge numbers. They're from Ukraine. They're going to Poland, and they're trying to get into Western Europe. And the Western Europeans don't want them.
I know.
And and then there's the whole issue of people, for example, who've been in Western Europe for 20 years or so and being sent back to Nigeria and to other African places.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the whole issue of what's going on in the States.
Okay, how many of these people are Russian and how many of them are African or Central or wherever?
Difficult to say. The ones we're dealing with.
You're working through the Quakers or what?
We're working through the Quakers and through anybody else who wants us.
Well, I have to share with you that I hate to keep hammering on this, but I quite agree that for some reason, this is a topic that people do not want to talk about. And I have tried to reach influential people in the Canadian government or in any other international body that will work on the plight of, I'm particularly interested in the situation of the Russian men who left the country rather than be sent to kill Ukrainians. And I know, several, and they're the ones that I think it's so tragic that we should be, welcoming them with garlands of flowers for having conscientiously refused to do, what we think they shouldn't be doing. So,
I agree with you.
But I can't get anybody to be on the show with me. I did one with Bob Ray, who is the Canadian ambassador to the United Nations, and when I wanted to put some of my Russians on the show with him, he said he wasn't allowed to. He had to get permission from Ottawa. Imagine that. He can't even do the show so he was able to talk to me about it, and he was able to talk to some other refugees from other countries who are not Russian, but not to Russians. They wouldn't let him. And,
Mhm.
the Canadian government wouldn't let him talk about it. And I've tried to work through the World Council on Refugees and Migrants, or Migration, or whatever it's called, which is headed by Lloyd Axworthy, who's on the board of directors of Project Save the World. He's a very good man. He used to be Canadian Foreign Minister many years ago, and he was I think, the best foreign minister we ever had. He worked on nuclear weapons, and he was the one who did the treaty on landmines and invented the whole new way of doing a treaty. So he's wonderful, but he wouldn't talk to me about that. And
Well, and that's pretty typical. It's very difficult to get people to talk about it, and certainly to get people to contribute money so that, for example, we can continue to exist. It's extremely difficult. So
I see we've been joined by Davidson, and Davidson is somebody who's in Africa, and he's been with us once or twice in the past, but I can't remember what country he's in. And Brian has his hand up again. Brian, do you want to speak? But I want to greet Davidson pretty quickly.
Yes, thank you, Metta. I'm in Kenya, in East Africa.
Okay. You're in
Sorry.
Kenya. Okay. Thank
Yes,
you.
it's
Hello,
dark.
Davidson. Mm-hmm.
Hello,
Now,
hello, Metta.
let me think. If I'm not mistaken, you're a pastor, a Protestant pastor someplace. Is that right?
Yes, I'm at the base of Mount Elgon in the western part of Kenya, close to the border of Kenya and Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
And I also run an NGO that is involved in peace building and conflict transformation. Yes, and enhancing of integration and cohesion among communities here in Kenya. It's a pleasure being here with you. Sorry, I'm not able to put on my camera because it's dark here. It is night and it's dark everywhere, so you cannot see my face.
Oh, okay. Well, we've got a problem in Africa, and we've got a problem in Australia, because Brian van Herzen has also put a picture of himself up because it's dark there. It's midnight there. So we can't be daylight everywhere, unfortunately. Brian, you have your hand up still. Do you want to put it down or speak?
Speak. You must know me well, Metta. I always like to speak. In response to the concerns about Russian refugees, I think that is a serious concern. And to me, it's tragic that the world is not welcoming the Russian refugees with open arms. I think Charles has a worthy cause there. And I would simply ask if, the problems that Russian refugees are experiencing today are problems that American refugees will experience in the future because of the way we're allowing our governance to proceed.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Davidson, tell us, it's been a
Thanks,
while.
Peter. Are you leaving us?
Yes.
Are you raising your hand?
No, I was asking to say something, but I couldn't find the right button to press.
Okay. Speak.
Well, I wanted to say was that most people will have heard or seen Trump's rant at the UN General Assembly. And this something, first of all, it would have convinced all the delegates to the UN General Assembly that this guy is a nutter and unfit for anything. But first, so at least that's achieved something good. But his what he has also achieved is that the world is being held to ransom now by somebody who is seriously mentally deficient and bonkers. Or so, what do we do? What does the world do when that happens? where do we go? How do we cope with it? And can we cope with it when everybody's bending themselves to his will, when he's obviously a fruitcake? So what has anybody got any thoughts on?
Well, I think it's a wonderful topic, but what can anybody say? I totally
I think
agree.
we need to use all the means at our disposal to change the regime.
We're doing that.
Well, one thing that is going on is I did a show a couple of days ago with a guy named Paul Zeitz, and he's going to hold a constitutional convention to refresh the U.S. Constitution. Now, he and I disagreed a little bit because his second line of reasoning, or his explanation for why we have all this, is dark money. That he thinks that people with evil intentions and deep pockets are controlling the U.S. government and all U.S. policies. But he's also talking about changing and developing and refreshing the Constitution in ways that I think most of us would accept as desirable. But if the problem is that the current Constitution can't be enforced because dark money is running the government, then why would it help to change the Constitution? It would still be, unless you do something about the dark money, and that is the hard thing. What do we do about, if that is, I don't know what extent you want to accept that as the explanation, but it's not negligible, that's for damn sure. Anybody want to comment on whether or not the problem is that the Constitution has been abrogated or watered down or ignored or something? And to what extent is it that the legislators and the Supreme Court and all the judicial and all the other institutions of the government, the bureaucracies and agencies and so on, cannot do their job because dark money is running things? And if so, what money? Paul Zeitz, and who's, by the way, I would recommend our conversation. I think I've had 2 conversations lately that are really excellent. He's one of them, and the other one is the one yesterday called Persistent Fact Checking. But at any rate, he is certainly arguing that we need to change the Constitution, and he's going to do it by trying to get different states to develop citizens' assemblies to discuss the kinds of changes that are needed. So if it can happen at the state level, I said, why don't you get Gavin Newsom to do it? And put in a citizens' assembly, and that's certainly one of his ideas. Then maybe that's the way to go. Get a whole bunch of states to do it, and then there'll be a demand to do it at the national level. Marilyn, I haven't even greeted you. Hi, dear. Welcome.
Hi. I apologize. I apologize for coming in late, first of all. And last month I was traveling. I was in Montana, so I couldn't make it. So anyway, I'm here now. And again, I really apologize for being late.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you probably know is that Gavin Newsom, our governor here in California, is afraid that there's not going to be elections in 2028. And I think he has a point. And frankly, the thing is that I'm trying to be politically correct. I'll just use his name, Trump, instead of what I really feel about him. He's doing, he's ICE, and they're just, he's doing everything he can, I feel, to take away whatever rights we have. I heard something about his deciding to take away your passport if you are against some of the policies or people or something. There was something, all this stuff keeps coming in. It's like, are you kidding me? It's terrible. It's So I don't know. What you're talking about is redoing the Constitution. Well, if you have a dictatorship, how's that going to work? We are doing what we can. We are having no kings, or what is it called, Bill? That we're doing. We're assembling. We're
Yeah.
demonstrating
It's a
things.
bill. It's a bill in Congress. And
But what difference is that going to make if he's squashing? I think that it needs to be grassroots, similar to what we're seeing, those organized protests that most of us are joining.
mhm. We need 3% of the total population of the United States in order to be effective. We're at about 1.9 right now. So we've got a ways to go in order to turn this whole thing around. We just got to get the masses out there on the streets all the time, not just on particular occasions.
Right.
Well, Zeit says that there's a lot kind of going on behind the scenes as different groups are getting ready or getting organized, but it's not as visible as it will be. I just don't know, I don't live there. And maybe you guys, I guess the only Americans here are Marilyn and Bill today, right? Do you see groups mobilizing and planning how to defend against these encroachments?
We're trying to mobilize. One of the things that's going on, which is terrible, because Bill and I both work in the environment, is all the funds that are being withdrawn from areas, of course, the environment, but also Medicaid, as well as other things. I mean, but what we're hoping, but what a lot of us are hoping is that with this thing with Medicaid, what is this big bill or whatever he's calling it, that then people who actually voted for the idiot are going to say, well, wait a minute, now what am I going to do about my mother-in-law? Or, where's she going to be able to go to the hospital? The hospital's no longer. So, there's always, maybe I'm Pollyanna, but there's always that hope that when some of these people see that they are being directly affected, maybe they'll do something and join everyone who is protesting. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah, Peter.
Well, yeah, on the same track, when you look at what Trump said in relation to climate change, he said this was the greatest con ever brought about by humans, a most incredible gibberish, but dangerous gibberish, because it's gibberish which means that when we might be needing to do something about climate change, which we do desperately, urgently, we're not going to be doing it because Trump has gone bonkers and is not allowing anything to be done on the climate. So we're in a terrible position that we really know that climate change is something that has to be dealt with urgently, with meaning immediately, and yet there's nobody doing it because there's a lunatic at the helm. And what do we do?
And internationally, I mean, we have not been talking about Gaza, and it's strange, this is the worst catastrophe that is going on right now in terms of humankind, the number of people dying. Well, no, that's not true. I think people in Sudan actually are just as, many or more are dying. But the truth is, it is genocide. It's clearly genocide. And yet nobody's able to stop it, or I don't know. I was happy to see that at the United Nations, several countries recognized Palestine, but how much good that is going to do, that and $5 will buy you a cup of coffee, Okay. So
Yeah, and if we don't do something about the traumas that are being caused now and the traumas of the past, they will be transmitted to future generations, and we're uh, uh, creating the conditions for new wars and for new violence. That's quite clear, as far as I'm concerned. And we have got to do something, and I'm not sure what it is either. Do we form a new country? Do we form a new bunch of people and issue new passports for us that would say, no, we are not American citizens anymore, for example? I don't know.
Charles, that's a stellar conversation, and I'm just curious if Metta is going to be publishing that panel anytime soon.
what panel?
Stellar. We did a podcast on Stellar a few weeks ago.
It was done. I put it up. It's called, what's it called? I have to look up the title. Yeah, I published it, and you didn't get the.
No, I've looked for it a couple of times. I've never found it.
Oh, no, it's there. Here, wait a minute. New window. I'm sorry. Airtable. I'm sorry. It's called it's two words. I'm sorry, I can't remember. I don't want to take your time for this. Come on.
In any case, Charles, I think you're raising some excellent questions, and some of the vision that's carried forward for stellar communities works to answer some of the questions you've raised about what people will do for sustainable livelihoods. How can they gather together, and how can they, have, I would say, thriving communities and thriving lives in the face of the disruptions that we're experiencing and anticipating.
Brian, it was published on the 14th. It's called episode 712, Beyond Extraction. That's the name of the show. And I could...
I'll look for it.
Yeah.
I'll let you know if I need to. Thank you.
ProjectSaveTheWorld.substack.com, and then /P/ and then episode 712, Beyond Extraction. And you can
on Substack. Okay, so maybe it's not on YouTube. Marilyn, you had a question?
Yeah, when you're talking about stellar communities, where would they be located?
Hopefully everywhere in the world. The intention is to decentralize, but to develop the DNA that's needed for those communities to provide abundant energy, abundant food security, and abundant labor for all residents of these stellar communities.
And by the way, Brian, it is on YouTube also. It's always
great.
But it's called Beyond Extraction.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing it, because it was a worthwhile conversation. Appreciate it. Okay. Good. So how, anybody other ideas for saving the world? I want to see a UN house representing the people of the world and not the countries, not the nations. I want to see a house of the people, which would be developed as through sortition, and it could be done right now with the technology available to us. We could use people's cell phones all over the world and bring people together to deliberate and have a conversation among human beings and not people representing specific governments, because the governments are, as we know, not always interested in the well-being of their own citizens. They're more interested in the survival of the government. And if you happen to be a human being and the government wants you to go get killed, that's fine. Yes, Brian.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And in fact, the AI, the latest round of AIs were originally designed to be universal translators. And now that we have universal translator technology, the possibility to have a global town hall or citizens assembly that is translated into 100 languages is actually quite available to us, perhaps for the first time. So I would encourage that being online, and simply encourage that we choose a set of time zones that enable 2 of the 3 continents to communicate at any particular time. And I think there may be a good way to have that rolled up. So I'm fully in favor of that.
Well, actually, I participated a couple of years ago in a citizens assembly that did exactly the right things. It was a small group of people, and they had, maybe 10, 15, 20 people, not more than that. People in different parts of the world, people speaking different languages. So whenever somebody spoke in Spanish, I would hear it immediately. I wouldn't hear it. I could see the translation, simultaneous translation into English, and so I thought, well, that's wonderful that they have that technology. But it's apparently, so far you have to really do a lot of setup preparation. It's not like you can just call up and say, well, I want everybody who's speaking in Chinese or whatever to instantly be able to talk to anybody who's speaking Portuguese. No, a lot of preparation involved. Now, what I wonder is how long it's going to be before they actually have AI that's able to do simultaneous translations, not only through closed caption, this on your screen, but also in your ear, a bud in your ear, being able to hear other people translated simultaneously, and have that be a really good system, so that all you have to do is hook up on Zoom, and it's ready to go, for every country, for every language. Well, maybe not every language. I'll settle for just the UN languages. What are there, about 8 now, languages that the UN are the official languages, so that you could, by that, I think it's something like 60 or 70% of the world's population now has cell phones, and they can use their cell phones and can participate, fully that way. You could have breakout groups. You could have everything that Zoom does. If you could do it with simultaneous translation, I think right now, with almost no cost, there'd be the cost of initially setting it up and getting a list of people from whom to draw a random sample. And then if you could do random sampling through a good proportion of the world's population, and every country be involved, then, and I think you'd have to have it done in 2 different time zones, the Eastern and Western, so that you have to have 2 different simultaneous.
We've actually done this already. What you do is choose 2 of the 3 continents, Pacific, Atlantic, and Eurasian.
Really?
And then everybody gets to talk with everyone.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's think about it. And if we could start doing it, my notion is that if we could start doing it on our own, because we can't, if you can't get your dark money to do what you want it to do, find out how you can do it on the cheap. And really, a couple of $1 million for the setup, actually having the work of somebody do the outreach and compile lists and all of the work that would be done. I mean, $2 or $3 million, I think I could do it. You could do it, and we could get it going and just show that it actually can make more sense than most of the governments that we elect people to.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I think that you've got some great ideas there, and it would be great to integrate some of that simultaneous translation into Audrey Tang's GitHub work on modern polity. And, that exists already on your mobile phone. If you're going to a foreign country, you can wear a headset and it will translate audibly in real time. And so it is voice at this point on your phone.
I've been hearing that I think one of the new phones will have that available, right?
You can download an app for it now.
Yeah. Okay.
You know the name of the app?
Not offhand, but I have seen it demonstrated where you just wear a headset and somebody talks to you. It gives you a simultaneous translation. And then when you speak, I think it will come out on the speakerphone in a different language.
That's interesting. I'm going to be in Italy next month, so I'm thinking, boy, that'd be fun to play with.
Yeah, definitely. Well, search for it on the App Store.
I think in the New York Times or someplace like that, within the past 2 weeks, I read somebody talking about having experienced it, that it was, and it's only about 1 second delay, like it's almost amazingly fast that it.
Yeah, 1 second delay is realistic. I agree.
Mm-hmm. So let's work on that, okay? That's one of my big goals in life is I'd love to see a global parliamentary assembly that's really representative of the human population. And, I think within, it'd be easy to do. Oh, here comes Davidson back again. Yeah. Anyway, hello, Davidson. You were away, and maybe we should we have a few minutes, about 5 minutes, in which at least we can begin to wind up our affairs, but I haven't heard enough from you about what's going on in Kenya. Davidson, can you join us and unmute yourself and tell us about your work in Kenya these days? No? Okay. Davidson, do you hear me? Unmute yourself. Well, all right.
There we go.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, that's great. I'm in the western part of Kenya, where I run a small NGO that supports communities here to enhance cohesion and integration. We do community dialogues. We also train school-going children in nonviolent communication, and I also conduct community dialogues forums so that communities can be able to speak to each other. We do also peace clubs in local schools. So I'm also part of a local Rotary Club. It's called the Rotary Club of Bungoma Central, where I've been a past president. And currently, I'm the Director of Learning and Education at the Rotary Club. And my role is to source for speakers. So I'll be looking for speakers from among yourselves. If anyone is willing to speak at a Rotary Club, we meet every week on Saturdays, like we met yesterday at 4 p.m. Kenyan time. Our time zone is 3 hours ahead of GMT. So anyone who will be willing to join us any week, and share your learnings and also talk about your work, I'll be glad to share my contacts on the chat.
Davidson, my information is on the chat. Please contact me.
Oh, okay, yes, sir. Okay, great. And you told me you are in Switzerland?
Sorry?
You are in Switzerland, right?
I'm in Croatia.
Oh, Croatia, okay, right.
But it's the same time zone.
Okay,
So
okay, right.
We're an hour earlier than you are.
So, what are the current problems that you are dealing with there in Kenya? The most urgent needs that you're dealing with?
Yeah, we currently we have a government that is experimenting with the lives of our people. They are putting up laws and policies that have not been tested. Secondly, they're introducing tariffs and taxes on almost on every commodity, which has made the cost of life very hard, especially for the common man who has no stable income. The Kenyan economy is basically agricultural, and when the government is taxing even farm produce, that has made life very hard for people who are peasant farmers. So that's the main problem that we are grappling with. Secondly, we also have gone through a history of forced disappearance and extrajudicial killings, where we have people who are opposed to the government, they disappear, and some of them are found after a few days. They are found lifeless or dead, killed in unclear circumstances. We also have people disappearing in police cells. Yeah, so those are the problems that are facing our country currently.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of a government do you have? How did that all come about? And is this new? I mean, this is a pretty shocking report that you're giving us.
Yeah, this is a new government that came into power about three years ago. They are seeking a re-election in the next 2 years because we're going to have a general election in 2027. So it is basically a new government that has no experience. They are just grappling and experimenting with almost every new thing.
Well, are they doing a good job of anything, or what is your policy? Would you do you have a plan to try to bring them back into accountability to the people, or to a rule of law, or are you sort of thinking they're better than what you had before?
The citizens, especially the younger generation, is opposed to this regime, and especially university and college students have gone even to the streets to protest against this government. But this was met by police brutality, police throwing tear gas, and also using live bullets on the demonstrators. So that is the main problem we're having in this country. The government is not responsive to the felt needs of the people, and it is using extra force on citizens when they protest against the harsh conditions that the government has put the common people into.
Well, I mean, you haven't said what your view is. You've said what the students and young people are believing. Maybe I guess I don't want to put you in a difficult position, because sometimes I could ask questions that you should not answer for your own safety, because if you're in a situation where you would incur retribution yourself, I don't want to press you on that, and I don't know what to say about that, except be happy to change the subject if that is the appropriate thing to do, because this is not the kind of place that we want to get people in trouble, and some of our people sometimes come from places where they would get in trouble, for speaking. I don't know whether you can talk about that at all. So,
we have people in the opposition who are dissatisfied with the performance of this government, and there are talks or attempts to lodge cases at the International Criminal Court in The Hague against this government because of the disappearance of citizens, and also using force on those who dissent against this government. So there's that. I personally share that kind of view. I don't think I'll be willing to re-elect this government in the next 2 years when we go to the general election. I think we need a new regime into power.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have an election. Do you? I mean, as Marilyn was just saying, the governor of her state thinks that the U.S. will not have another election. It's that bad. So, I guess we have to ask where the hell the world is going, if in general.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any movement in Africa? Somebody a few weeks ago was talking about a movement to kind of create a United States of Africa kind of thing, a federal system in which the individual states, the borders would be kind of erased or partly eliminated, and some international body of states in Africa would come into existence. Is that a plan, or is it just somebody's fantasy? Is there any kind of realistic campaign or movement to do a thing of that kind? And would it make any difference anyway, you think?
That is something that the former president of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, that was his idea. And he tried to push for that. But I think Africa, as it stands currently, that is, we are way far achieving that. That is almost like 100 years to come. But that is partly because of the different ethnic and tribal identity within Africa, and also there are some places in Africa that are not habitable, and that you cannot access. Take for example the Congo forest in Central Africa that are invaded by rebel groups that are fighting, and they fight their own tribal or country men. That makes them very hostile. So the idea of uniting Africa. Secondly, because also we have dictators in Africa, men who have been in power for over 3 decades, like our neighboring Uganda here. We have a president who has been in power for over 3 decades and is not willing to relinquish power. And as he's aging, he's mentoring his son to be president. So that complicates matters, because the essence of democracy in Africa is a little bit not appreciated or adhered to. But those diversities in Africa and difference in political conditions makes it a little bit complex for Africa to achieve a federal unity of government and politics.
Yeah, I guess if you can't solve your local problems, it wouldn't be any better if you had a whole big continent to try to solve. I don't know. Well, we're getting toward the end of our conversation today. It's a weird conversation. I don't know whether we're all satisfied with what we have shared, but it's. I think that is part of the nature of having a frank and honest and truthful community where we share what's on our minds, and we don't always agree. But I certainly feel that we are a community. At least I feel that we have become a community of people that I care about very, very much, and I feel personally supported by. So be on the lookout for what you'll get in the mail, both from Substack about this inquiry, and also Peace Magazine, which will be coming to you within a few days, and there'll be pages in there. So I hope maybe some of you will want to participate in this, or if you have friends that you think might like it, share it with your friends and see if you know anybody who wants to participate. They do need to be members, paying members of our Substack group, or members of Project Save the World, which is usually the same procedure for becoming a member of Project Save the World as for, you do it through joining Substack in general. I think Marilyn is already a paying member of Substack, and I don't know, maybe others, and you get, you can certainly join if you want, Marilyn, if you want to be a part of this AI thing. Anyway, those of you look at what we do and see if you want to participate. And of course, I'd love to have your suggestions for additional readings and video watchings that we'll recommend to people. I imagine many people will actually read more than what they're required to do or expected to do. So anything more we need to say before I bid you goodbye? Anybody? Anything you want to say? Okay. So thank you all for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again on the last Sunday in October. Bye-bye.